The quiet Chicago street. 1970s kids riding bikes, families grilling in backyards, neighbors waving hello, and right there lived John Wayne Gacy. Friendly neighbor, successful businessman, party host, clown. Kids loved he smiled, laughed, shook hands. No one suspected what was inside his mind. Detectives call it evil, normal people call it unimaginable. America called him the killer clown. Before we dive in, hit like, subscribe, and share. Stories like this are warnings for everyone. John Wayne Gacy was born on March 17, 1942, in Chicago, Illinois. From the very beginning, his life was shadowed by turmoil. His father, John Stanley Gacy, was a man of volatile temper and frequent violence, and his mother, Marion Elaine, sought desperately to shield her son from her husband's wrath. Young John's formative years were marked by isolation, fear, and the subtle shaping of traits that would later become horrifyingly evident. He was a bright child, academically inclined, yet socially awkward. Peers described him as shy, withdrawn, and often preoccupied with his own thoughts. While he displayed early signs of intelligence and creativity, his social interactions were fraught with tension. Reports from neighbors and teachers indicate that he had a propensity to bully weaker children, exhibiting early signs of dominance and control. Even in adolescence, Gacy's fascination with power and manipulation began to surface, though no one could have foreseen the horrors that would later unfold. School provided both structure and a stage for his early struggles. Gacy excelled in certain subjects, but struggled socially. His retreat into solitary activities such as reading, building small projects, or daydreaming became increasingly pronounced. By the time he reached his teenage years, early indicators of deviant sexual behavior emerged. Although largely hidden, these behaviors foreshadowed the darker impulses that would define his adult life. After high school, Gacy pursued vocational opportunities, experimenting with various business ventures, including construction and painting. He attempted to cultivate a persona of normalcy, charming, hard-working, and civic-minded. To outsiders, he appeared as a respectable young man, deeply involved in his community and committed to his work. He joined local organizations, attended church events, and even entered politics, carefully constructing an image of trustworthiness. During his early adulthood, Gacy married his first wife, Carol Hoff, in 1964, though their marriage was short-lived. It further exemplified his efforts to appear normal to those around him. Friends and neighbors would later recall a man who seemed friendly, approachable, and engaged in family and community life. Behind the scenes, however, Gacy continued to exhibit controlling and abusive behavior, suggesting the slow escalation of his darker tendencies. By the late 1960s, Gacy's personal life began to unravel. Following a series of personal setbacks, including failed relationships and professional challenges, he moved to Norwood Park in Chicago. It was here that Gacy began to live a double life. On the surface, he was the perfect neighbor, a kind, jovial man known for his charitable work and community involvement. Beneath this mask, he cultivated an insidious predatory pattern. Gacy developed a fascination with young men and boys, luring victims under the pretense of employment, mentorship, or simple companionship. Exploiting his community status, he created opportunities to isolate victims in his home. During this time, he also established his infamous clown persona, Pogo the Clown. Performing at children's parties and charitable events, Gacy donned a mask of innocence and whimsy, which helped conceal the brutal acts he would commit in the privacy of his home. The clown persona was both literal and metaphorical. While Pogo entertained and charmed the public, Gacy's private life was a stark contrast: secret, violent, and lethal. The duality of his existence, a friendly, civic-minded clown versus a calculating killer, defined the complexity of his character and the deception that enabled his crimes. Between 1972 and 1978, Gacy's criminal activities escalated dramatically. He targeted young men, often those who were transient, marginalized, or vulnerable. Using his charm and his social connections, he lured them to his home. Once there, he would overpower and sexually assault his victims. Many of the murders involved strangulation, often with a tourniquet or other restraint, and he would bury the bodies in the crawlspace of his home or dispose of them elsewhere. The sheer scale of Gacy's crimes was staggering. Over several years, he is believed to have murdered at least 33 young men, though some estimates suggest the total could be higher. The victims varied in age and background. Yet a common thread was their vulnerability. Many were runaways, young laborers, or men seeking work. Trustingly responding to Gacy's offers of employment or mentorship, Gacy's house became a scene of unimaginable horror. The crawl space beneath his home was systematically used to conceal the remains of his victims. His meticulous attention to detail, combined with the trust he inspired in his community, allowed him to continue his murders undetected for years. Neighbors described him as sociable and helpful, never suspecting that their friendly neighbor harbored such darkness. Despite his ability to maintain a facade of normalcy, cracks began to appear. In 1978, a 15-year-old boy, Robert Piest, disappeared after last being seen at a pharmacy where he worked. Piest's disappearance triggered an investigation that would eventually unravel Gacy's carefully maintained double life. The police began to look into his background, scrutinizing his past relationships, employment, and interactions with young men. The investigation intensified as suspicions grew. Police obtained search warrants for Gacy's home, and in December 1978, officers began to discover evidence of his crimes. The first grim discovery was the bodies in his crawl space. Each layer of earth unearthed revealed more victims, confirming the worst fears about Gacy's hidden life. The arrest of John Wayne Gacy shocked the nation. The friendly, civic-minded neighbor, the clown who brought joy to children, had secretly committed horrific murders over several years. Public reaction was one of disbelief and revulsion. Gacy's ability to maintain such a dual existence, deceiving those around him while perpetrating unimaginable acts, made the case one of the most notorious in American criminal history. Gacy's trial began in 1980. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence, including witness testimonies, physical evidence from his home, and Gacy's own inconsistent statements. Psychologists and criminal experts were brought in to testify about Gacy's personality, motives, and psychological makeup. The defense attempted to argue for diminished responsibility, citing mental health issues. But the sheer scale and premeditation of his crimes overshadowed these arguments. The jury found John Wayne Gacy guilty of multiple counts of murder, and he was sentenced to death. His conviction was a milestone in criminal justice, highlighting both the challenges of detecting serial offenders and the importance of meticulous investigative work. During his time on death row, Gacy continued to exhibit manipulative behavior. He gave interviews, corresponded with individuals, and maintained a degree of public attention. Psychologists analyzed his communications, attempting to understand the mind behind the murders, noting a chilling blend of charm, narcissism, and complete lack of empathy. On May 10, 1994, John Wayne Gacy was executed by lethal injection at Stateville Correctional Center in Illinois. His death marked the end of a life defined by deception, violence, and terror. Yet, the legacy of his crimes continues to impact families, law enforcement, and the study of criminal psychology. The story of John Wayne. The chilling duality of John Wayne Gacy, a man who could entertain children as Pogo the Clown while committing unspeakable acts in secret, serves as a profound, if disturbing, case study of human nature, deception, and evil.